High school sports is in full swing. It continues this weekend, and no better guest to bring in on the high school scene and really the state of Missouri than Jim Powers. And you see him on Fox Channel 2, also the high school sports caravan to talk about the teams remaining, the teams still going, and a chance to win a state title. Hey, Jim, it's always great to see you. How are things going?
Doing great, man. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing well. And, the kids are competing for state championships. I'm actually down here in Cape Girardeau at the state volleyball championships. And, it's great to see our student athletes from all around the state able to have the opportunity to be able to compete for that trophy and that hardware. So, it's great to see the look on their faces when they walk in. And, hopefully we can get through the next 3-4 weeks and everybody can get the fall championships in.
That was really the big question, whether or not they would be able to even get to this point to be able to compete. How do you think we have handled this locally and really just in general, the state of Missouri, as opposed to some of the other places in the country of just being able to compete in high school?
Yeah, I think the state of Missouri has done a terrific job in handling it. I know the Missouri State High School Activities Association and, their executive director, Dr. Kerwin Ernhan, and their board has just been fantastic. I mean, they've done everything they need to do to empower the schools, to empower, the coaches and the ADs to get things moving and keep things going to where we can get to the point where we're at right now, where we're halfway through the championship season. Has there been outbreaks around the state? Absolutely, there has, in all sports, and you've come to expect that. But I think that around the state, everybody's doing their part, trying to do the best that they can. I know in our area, St. Charles County and Jeffco and Franklin County, they've been starting since day one, and they've done a great job. Once again, there've been a few outbreaks here and there. There've been some games lost here and there, but they were able to get almost a full season in and going into the playoffs. I mean, St. Louis County and St. Louis City, a completely different story. I know me and you chatted about a month and a half ago about what in the world was going on in the county, and at least they were able to get some games in, able to get some playoff, some district action in, and there's still some great teams that are left standing. I really wish that we would have been able to start the fall season earlier for the kids, but those decisions are way above my pay grade and a lot of others. So, but at least the kids are out there. We're in the state playoffs, and now the big thing is keeping everybody healthy and keeping everybody moving to a common goal of making it down to Jefferson City to play for that football state championship, or down to Springfield for the soccer state championship.
How are teams handling this, Jim, in terms of how they can practice, what coaches do, the etiquette on the sidelines, that kind of thing? I mean, we see it in pro sports with face masks of some sort, mandated in some cases in pro sports and college sports. But what is it like in the state of Missouri?
Oh, it's mandated on the sidelines. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you're on a sideline as a coach, you're in a mask. If you're not a starter or playing a lot, you're in a mask. I mean, I'm down here in Cape Girardeau at the state, and I've got my mask. I mean, it's just something that we've got to do. The coaches have been terrific with it, and they've been educating their student athletes, and that's been the great thing about it. They've done everything they need to do for that education piece. And honestly, Danny, I give so much credit to the athletic directors and to the principals and superintendents. These guys have worked their tails off since, late May, early June, and putting in these protocols and doing everything that they need to do to ensure the safety of the kids. And that's what it's all about. We want to give the kids the opportunity, but we've got to make sure we're educating them. So, you're seeing, the masks on. You're seeing, if you're not playing a lot, you're standing back. You're not crowding the sideline. I know in professional football and also in college football, they've extended the players box, and they've done the same thing on the high school side. So they've allowed a lot of room for social distancing. I mean, you're not seeing packed houses. I mean, shoot, we're going to see the Smith CBC on Friday night, and under normal circumstances, it'd be 3-4 deep up at the Smet. It'd be packed, people hanging off the rafters and the light poles. We're not going to see that. We're only going to see 2 parents per student athlete that's going to be allowed in. So, you've seen a lot of those changes as well. But, I think the bottom line for everybody is whatever we can do to get the kids playing and doing the things that they need to do, that's what we've got to do. And the parents have been terrific. And once again, the ADs have just worked their butts off. And the education piece to make sure that everybody's safe has gone a long way. And I credit those guys. I put it this way. I've been in, athletics for many years. I would never want to be an AD during this time in this age. I would never want to do it.
How about some of the teams that are still remaining and some of the kids that are making a name for themselves, even in abbreviated games, that kind of thing, but a lot of the colleges are looking at? So some of the best teams that still remain and some of the kids that have really had some pretty good falls here.
Yeah, I think you got to look at Class 6 and DeSmet. I mean, they picked right back up where they left off last year. They've played 2 games. They beat CBC already once this year as their first game back. And they've got so much talent. And, Robert Steeples, their head coach, has just been absolutely unbelievable in turning that whole program around. I mean, if you look back 4 years ago, the DeSmet football program was a train wreck. I mean, they couldn't get out of their own way. And now all of a sudden, you're talking about a team that won Class 6 last year. And really right now, honestly, they're the odds-on favorite for this year. When you look at Class 5, you got to go over to, St. Charles County and Zumwalt North. I mean, Joe Bacon, I can't say enough about him and his coaching staff. That they've built a program. And Danny, you've called a lot of the state championship games back in the day when Webb City and Valley Catholic would go back and forth, on who was going to get that lead on who had the most state championships. And that's because they've built terrific programs. And that's what, Coach Bacon's done up in St. Charles County with Zumwalt North. And then you got to look at Lutheran North. I mean, Carl Reed has just done a terrific job. They're going to make it through their district, but they've got a gauntlet to go through because they're going to have to play Blair Oaks at some point, and I believe that's going to be in the sectional round. And I mean, once again, that's a game where you want to see thousands of people there because it's 2 of the best teams in Class 4 in the state of Missouri. So those are just some of the teams. Francis Howes had a terrific year. Brett Chinaki has just done a terrific job with that program. To have one of the best, running backs in Mormon that I've seen in an awfully long time out there. You look at Lutheran North, he's got about 5 or 6 D1 kids. I mean, Trevon Ford is just a beast. I mean, this kid is as legit of a D1 prospect that I've seen in an awfully long time. And a couple of kids that we didn't get a chance to see, on the football side of things because, over on the Illinois side, they're not playing football right now. But, you look at the Macon kid from East St. Louis, who's going to go out to Mizzou. And I honestly believe that he could be in a battle for the starting quarterback position, for, Coach Drinkowitz next year. He is that good of a prospect, over on that side. So we've got so many great kids here in the area. But, the Mormon kid is just a terrific kid. I'll mention another young man, too, down in Festus. I had a chance to see him play quite a bit. Cole Rickerman playing for A.J. Olafale. They've had a terrific year, and this kid is just an absolute beast. He runs the quarterback position. They do so many different things offensively, and he does a lot of stuff for them and really been impressive all year long.
I'm sure, Jim, that you talked to many of the administrators and the ADs and what's happening here. And now right around the corner, you've got winter sports in the state of Missouri and throughout the country. What are you hearing about trying to get basketball going and some of the other major sports that high school kids are playing? Now we're talking about higher numbers in COVID-19. We're talking about indoors, so that's going to complicate things. What are you hearing about trying to make sure that takes place in 2020?
I think we're going to get swim and dive in. I mean, that's a low impact sport. And they just got they're finishing up their season next week on the boys side of things, and then they'll get the girls season started. So I think they'll get swim and dive going without any issues. Wrestling is the one that I think everybody is scared out of their ever loving minds right now. I just think that, the bottom line with wrestling is there, there's more contact, so to say, than there is on the football field. So I know there's been a lot of work going into how you can put the protocols together to get wrestling going. Basketball is the same thing. You've got that close contact down, in the post area. It's going to be very interesting to see. I know they've come up with protocols. Everybody's prepared to go. practices have started this week, but a lot of it's going to have to do with how the numbers have gone up, quite a bit over the last month or so, and what a lot of the people around the state of Missouri are going to decide to do, and especially in St. Louis County, are there going to be things that are going to walk back a little bit? Are we going to put the winter sports on hold for a little while? I know over on the Illinois side, there's I hate to say it, you're sitting there watching a staring match between the governor and the state association. The state association saying we're going to play, the governor saying no, you're not going to play, and we're not going to be in that type of a situation here in Missouri. But I have a feeling that a lot of people may walk things back a little bit to start the winter sports off. But we're going to have to wait and see. Hopefully the numbers go down. Everybody does what they need to do, and that's wear a mask, do the social distancing. I know everybody has heard it 1,000 times, but in order for us to keep things going and to let these kids play, those are the things that we have to do to make sure that they're safe and we can move on and do the winter sports.
And then finally, for some of the kids that wanted to play this fall and maybe only got in a couple of games, 3 games, 4 games, whatever the case may be, and they need more tape or they need something for colleges to see, whatever the case may be, or a chance to just play a little bit more to improve their skills. Are they doing anything for those kids, or is it just, hey, your team's out and season is over?
No, actually, there are some schools that are playing. Some schools that got knocked out last week. They're picking up some games this week, and same thing. That's the great thing about what we can do here in Missouri, and especially in St. Louis County, is that you can play games up till the state championships, which would be the Saturday after Thanksgiving when the Class 6 championship is, as long as you don't go over your contact days. And I know a lot of schools in the county are picking up those extra games. I believe Webster and Melville is going to play. I know Kirkwood's going to look for a game. They're in quarantine for one more week. I think they're going to look for a game before the Turkey Day game with Webster. There's a lot of schools that are going to be looking to pick up some games here over the next 2-3 weeks to give those kids those opportunities. And you hit it on the head. And that was one of the biggest things, Danny, that I spoke about a lot when the county wasn't letting these kids play was you need all the tape. These kids need tape. You've got some tremendous kids out there that were hoping to get college scholarships, whether it's D1, D2, D3, NAIA, it doesn't matter. They needed to get some film and do some things out on the field to get some eyebrows raised. And especially now how recruiting is, a lot of coaches are doing it more via video because they're not allowed out to do live recruiting right now. And, you're seeing a lot more tape, video watching and different things along those lines. So I love the high school coaches. And once again, the administrators, they're giving the kids every opportunity. If they get knocked out of the playoffs, they're trying to pick up a couple regular season games for them to, help their kids build the program, but also help those kids get that recruiting film that they're going to need to move on to the next level.
Hey, Jimmy, thanks so much. Appreciate your time. I know you're really busy with the volleyball championships, and best of luck the rest of the way. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for doing this.
No problem, Danny. And whatever we can do to keep the kids on the floor and on the court and everything, that's what we want to do. So it's great to see the kids out here at the Show Me Center playing some volleyball and competing. So it's awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. That's Jim Powers on Scoops with Danny Mack.